Let's be real, we're living through chaos. Inflation is rising. Government debt is mounting. Real estate is frozen. Small businesses are collapsing. People are scared. Social media is full of panic. News channels are screaming recession. The entire financial atmosphere feels like a storm. But here's the twist no one talks about: these moments of chaos. They're the exact moments when lives change, if you dare to move. History has never rewarded the ones who wait. Wealth has never belonged to those who freeze. When everyone retreats, the brave step forward. And this is where the story of Donald Trump begins, not as a politician, but as an entrepreneur with a mindset that rewrote his destiny. Picture this: 1970s New York City. A glamorous city drowned in debt. Buildings decaying. Crime rampant. Investors fleeing. Everything seemed broken. But in that decay, Donald Trump saw gold. Where others saw destruction, he saw opportunity. He didn't follow the crowd. He didn't wait for things to get better. He stepped into the storm and bought broken buildings for pennies on the dollar. One of them was the Commodore Hotel, an old property that everyone ignored. Everyone, except Trump. Through relentless negotiation, lobbying, and long-term thinking, he secured tax breaks and financial support to renovate that building. When it reopened as the Grand Hyatt, it became a symbol of New York's revival and Trump's rise. He didn't see just a building. He saw the future. That's the elite mindset. You're not listening to this podcast to be average. You're here because you feel something inside, that there's more to your life. That your chaos could be the beginning of your breakthrough. But to do that, you must understand what most people don't. Crises don't destroy opportunities. They transfer them, from the hands of the fearful to the hands of the bold. But that was just the beginning. The true test of his mindset came later, when the stakes were higher and the crash was harder. Fast forward to the early 1990s. The US real estate market had collapsed again. It was brutal. Debt bubbles had burst. Major players, big names with powerful portfolios, were filing for bankruptcy. Once powerful empires were crumbling. And Trump? He was nearly one of them. The media called it his downfall. Bankers prepared for a cleanup. The headlines painted him as done. Game over. But that's where most people misunderstand what real winners do. They don't crumble in a crash. They restructure. Trump did exactly that. He sat down with his lenders and restructured his debts. He sold off what wasn't strategic. He doubled down on what was. He made deals, renegotiated, and slowly, he turned the tide. That's the first major principle of thinking big during fear: never waste a crisis. Most people retreat. The smart ones reset the table. And it didn't stop there. 2008 brought the worst financial crisis in modern history. The housing market imploded. Banks collapsed. Lehman Brothers died. Wall Street shook. And people panicked like never before. But Trump? He stayed calm and made a bold statement. I hope the real estate market crashes, because then I'll buy everything. That wasn't just talk. While investors sold in panic, Trump bought in silence. While the headlines screamed doom, he saw nothing but discounted assets. That's not madness. That's mastery of timing. Because history proved him right again. Markets did recover. And Trump walked away with stronger assets, more power, and greater wealth. You see, people often think playing big means being reckless. But that's false. Trump never moved without a plan. He took bold steps, but always with a cushion, a strategy, a backup. The average person reacts emotionally. The bold thinker acts strategically. And here's the hard truth. Most people only act when they feel safe. But by the time things feel safe, the opportunity is gone. It's already in someone else's hands. Let me be honest with you, if you're waiting for perfect conditions to act, you'll be waiting your entire life. We don't grow when everything's perfect. We grow when we're forced to make a move in chaos. Trump's real estate empire wasn't built on sunshine. It was built on rubble. It was built when people said, "Don't do it." It was built when the market said, "This is insane." It was built when fear was louder than logic. And the results? They speak for themselves. So as you sit here, possibly surrounded by news of economic crisis, fear in the markets, or uncertainty in your own life, ask yourself this. What would happen if I acted when others froze? What if this is my moment, disguised as chaos? Because guess what? Every major shift in history, from fortunes to careers to revolutions, was born in discomfort. The winners weren't the ones who waited. They were the ones who moved, even if their legs shook. The value of anything is only as real as the belief behind it. Lose the belief, lose the value. Let me hit you with something bold right now. The most dangerous thing in a crisis isn't inflation, isn't interest rates, isn't market collapse. It's the loss of belief. Not just belief in the system, but belief in yourself. Think about it, every market on earth, stocks, real estate, crypto, even fiat currency, operates on trust. If people stop believing, everything crashes. This is why billionaires sell when they know panic is coming. Because they know it's not the asset itself losing value. It's confidence falling apart. And this is also why you can't afford to lose confidence in yourself when fear hits. Most people don't realize this. Your decisions in a crisis have nothing to do with facts. They're ruled by your psychology, your conditioning, your trauma, your habits. And here's the kicker. You were trained to follow the crowd. Since childhood, you were taught to seek safety, not strategy. You were taught to blend in, not stand up. You were taught that if the group is afraid, you should be too. But Donald Trump, and anyone who wins big, never follows the group when fear is involved. He understood that the real value lies not in the asset, but in the perception of the asset. He bought when the perception was low. He sold when confidence returned. Let's bring that back to you. In 2025, people are selling their businesses, their properties, their stock, out of fear. But you have a choice. You can either see what they see, risk, loss, collapse. Or you can look deeper. You can ask, what is this thing really worth? Is it undervalued? Is fear the only reason it's being dumped? Because here's the truth. When the price drops but value stays the same, that's not danger. That's a sale. But you'll only see it as a sale if you trust your vision more than the crowd's emotion. And trust, that's confidence. That's your real asset. Confidence makes you act when others wait. Confidence makes you invest when others retreat. Confidence makes you see value where others see garbage. But how do you build that kind of confidence? Here's a 3-step blueprint. 1. Study the pattern, not the panic. Go back in history. Look at every crash, every recession. What came after? Recovery. Growth. Fortunes. Winners always move during the chaos, not after it. 2. Train your mind to question the herd. When you hear, everyone's selling, ask why. Is it based on data? or emotion? If it's emotion, do the opposite. Every time. 3. Prepare like a pro. Confidence doesn't come from pretending. It comes from preparation. Learn about the asset. Run the numbers. Build your fallback plans. Because when you know what you're doing, you won't freeze. You'll move. And that movement will create momentum. Remember this. The crowd never gets rich. The crowd never gets ahead. The crowd only validates their fear. So if you're waiting for confidence to show up before you act, you're doing it backwards. Action builds confidence. Confidence builds vision. Vision builds your future. Let the rest of the world panic. Let them sell. Let them scream. But you breathe. You observe. You prepare. Because in a world where value is built on belief, those who believe in themselves first, always win last. Being fearless doesn't mean being reckless. It means being ready. By now, you understand the core mindset: act when others are afraid, move when the market freezes, believe when others doubt. But there's a dangerous misconception that often follows bold thinking. That misconception is this: if I want to win big, I need to take wild risks. Absolutely not. Let's clear this up. Donald Trump didn't build an empire by gambling. He built it by planning, by playing offense with preparation, not panic. It's easy to look at his massive moves and think, he's just fearless. But the truth is, his boldest decisions were backed by deep research, negotiations, risk assessments, and fallback plans. Take the Commodore Hotel deal again. Trump didn't just buy a rundown building because he felt lucky. He negotiated a historic tax abatement with New York City, partnered with the Hyatt hotel chain to reduce operational risk, secured favorable financing from banks, studied the market trajectory of Midtown Manhattan. He built safety nets beneath every bold move. That's the fourth cornerstone of elite crisis thinking. Confidence plus calculation equals controlled power. So how do you plan the big play in a world full of fear? 1. Gather data before you lead. Trump didn't make emotional decisions. He made informed ones. You must do the same. Whatever you're considering, an investment, a business, a new career, study the landscape. Know the numbers. Learn the risks. Knowledge calms fear. Guesswork feeds it. 2. Build your deal like a fortress. Never go in without leverage. Can you negotiate terms? Delay payment? Share the risk with a partner? Hedge the downside? The boldest players always asked, what's the worst case scenario, and how do I survive it? Trump rarely walked into a deal without an exit plan. 3. Protect cash flow like a warrior. Many people lose not because the opportunity fails, but because they can't hold on long enough. Plan your liquidity. Secure capital. Trim unnecessary costs. Cash is more than king in a crisis, it's the army behind the king. 4. Use fear as a filter, not a stop sign. If a deal terrifies you, ask why. Is it fear of failure? Or is it your gut telling you the numbers don't add up? There's a difference between healthy caution and emotional paralysis. Learn to listen to both, then decide from logic. Let me share this insight. The real winners don't ignore fear. They prepare for it. They don't charge blindly into storms. They check the map, gear up, and bring a team. And this is where most people lose. They either get paralyzed by risk, or they rush in recklessly. They either overthink until the moment is gone, or act without thinking at all. Trump mastered the balance. He acted fast, but with a plan. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you prepare thoroughly, you actually move faster, not slower. Because hesitation doesn't come from danger, it comes from lack of preparation. Let me say that again. Speed in business doesn't come from confidence. It comes from clarity. The clearer you are on the strategy, the quicker you can pull the trigger. And the quicker you act, the more upside you claim, before the crowd even realizes what's happening. So, what does this mean for you? It means you need a battle plan, not just ambition. Want to start a business in a down market? Research your niche and lock in low-cost resources. Want to invest in real estate? Identify undervalued locations and pre-negotiate with distressed sellers. Want to build your brand? Create value when others cut back, and buy attention when ads are cheap. The window is now, but only for those who are ready. We've come a long way. You've learned to act in chaos. To think when others run. To move strategically, not blindly. But there's one final lesson, the most important of all. Think long. Act now. See, the biggest difference between those who win and those who change the game is vision. Short-term thinkers look for a quick flip. Legacy thinkers lay bricks every day, even in a storm, because they're building something that lasts. Let me take you back to Donald Trump and the Grand Hyatt deal. Most people saw it as a one-off win. A flashy flip. A short-term turnaround. But that's not how Trump saw it. He didn't just want to build a successful hotel. He wanted to signal his arrival as a power player. He wanted that hotel to serve as the springboard for a brand, a real estate empire, that would stretch across cities, skylines, and eventually, global headlines. And that's exactly what happened. Why? Because he thought 5 steps ahead. He didn't chase money. He chased positioning. He chased leverage. He chased impact. And this is where most people fail. They try to get rich quick. They think, if I make this move, maybe I'll win. But Trump? He thought, if I make this move, how will it shape the next 10? That's legacy thinking. And here's how you start doing that, too. 1. Define the empire before you lay the first brick. What are you actually building? A brand? A business? A reputation? A body of work? Stop thinking in terms of single moves. Start thinking in terms of the ecosystem you want to create. Trump didn't build buildings. He built a name, a symbol. So what do you want your name to stand for when this storm passes? 2. Detach from immediate reward. Let's be real, most people quit not because it's too hard, but because the reward takes too long. They start a business and expect profit in 3 months. They invest and expect 10x returns by next year. They post on social media and expect to go viral in a week. But legacy builders know, the reward isn't just money, it's position. It's trust. It's brand equity. And those take time. But once you earn them, they open every door. 3. Design for the recovery, not the crisis. Yes, 2025 may feel like a storm. But what comes after the storm? Recovery. Rebuilding. Repricing. Repositioning. And those who plant seeds now will own the forest later. Let everyone else panic. Let them sell, hide, shrink. You build. Use this time to acquire assets, create content, sharpen systems, train your team, expand your audience. Because when the sun comes back out, and it always does, you'll be 10 steps ahead. 4. Measure in decades, not days. Let me be brutally honest. If you're constantly checking your results every day, you're not a builder. You're a gambler. Real builders, they pour concrete. They lock in foundations. They grind in silence, because they're not looking for applause today. They're building a future that can't be ignored tomorrow. So ask yourself, what will this move mean in 5 years? How will this risk shape my next decade? Am I reacting, or building something that lasts? Because that's the ultimate question. And now, here's the final thought I want to leave you with. Brain the mindset map to legacy. Think opposite. When the crowd panics, you pause. See value, not price. Buy the asset, not the fear. Prepare like a pro. Confidence comes from clarity, not hype. Play the long game. Think empire, not ego. Move now, because delay is the disease of legacy. This is what Donald Trump mastered. He didn't just act during fear. He didn't just plan like a strategist. He thought like a visionary. And now, it's your turn. The next 5 years of your life could be your rise, if you're bold enough to move while the world waits. You have the blueprint. Now go build the empire. Not everyone listening to this podcast has millions in the bank. Not everyone owns a business, trades the market, or deals in real estate. And maybe you've listened to the past 5 episodes and thought, I love the mindset. But what can I do right now with what I have? Because the most powerful shift in your life doesn't require millions. It just requires a shift in identity. Donald Trump didn't start big. He started with a perspective that was big. He didn't wait to be rich before he made bold moves. He made bold moves because he thought like someone who was going to be rich. That's what separates dreamers from builders. So today, I want to give you 5 small but powerful actions you can take right now to start playing bigger, wherever you are. 1. Audit your inputs. Your thoughts are shaped by what you consume. Are you reading headlines filled with panic? Are you surrounded by people who think small, play small, and stay small? Are you addicted to scrolling, comparing, doubting? The first act of empire building is mental environment control. Start here. Replace 15 minutes of social media with 15 minutes of market research. Swap gossip videos for stories of resilience, strategy, and real growth. Unfollow fear. Subscribe to boldness. 2. Train boldness in microdecisions. You don't need a billion-dollar deal to build courage. You just need small moments where you say, this scares me. I'm doing it anyway. That might be speaking up in a meeting, making your first investment, starting the business page, launching your first product, sending that pitch. Small wins train your nervous system to stop shrinking. Every time you push through, you're reprogramming fear. 3. Write your empire vision in detail. Not vague. Not fluffy. Not, I want success. I'm talking clear, measurable, obsessively specific goals. Where do you want to live? What will your brand be known for? Who are your customers? What will your day-to-day look like in 5 years? This is what Trump did. He didn't just see buildings. He saw his name in gold on top of towers. That clarity gives you emotional gravity, it pulls you toward action. 4. Study strategic thinkers, not just motivators. Motivation fades. Strategy compounds. Don't just watch hustle videos. Watch business case studies. Read books on negotiation, branding, asset protection, wealth psychology, Global economics. You don't need a degree, you need obsession with mastery. 5. Create before you consume. Every morning, ask yourself, have I built something today? Or have I just watched others build? Your empire begins with 1 email, 1 podcast, 1 product idea, 1 sales page, 1 pitch. Consume second. Create first. Because builders move the world. Viewers just scroll through it.